Welcome to Business Demotivation, the show where ambition turns into action. I'm Dave, and today's episode is for the person who's right on the edge of something new. Maybe it's a business idea, a creative project, a side hustle, a product, a service, a brand you've been sketching out in your notes app for months. You can feel the excitement, and at the same time, you can feel the fear. And if that's you, I want you to know something. The starting line is where a lot of dreams quietly die. Not because people aren't smart enough, not because they don't have talent, but because the beginning is awkward. The beginning is uncertain. The beginning asks you to move without proof. So today we're going to talk about why you can't quit before you even truly begin, and how to keep going when your confidence hasn't caught up yet. Let's start with the hardest truth. The hardest part is starting. People love to share success like it's a clean, straight road. You get inspired, you work hard, you win. But real business doesn't look like a movie montage. Real business looks like late nights when your brain won't shut off. It looks like sending emails and hearing nothing back. It looks like trying something that you were sure would work and realizing it didn't. It also looks like slow days, quiet days, days where you wonder, is anyone even noticing what I'm building? And then there's the one that nobody talks about enough. That voice in your own head that says, who do you think you are? Here's the thing, though. Every person you admire, every business you respect, every entrepreneur you think is miles ahead of you, they all stood where you're standing. Same nerves, same uncertainty, same lack of guarantees. The difference wasn't that they had some magical confidence. The difference was that they moved anyway. Starting is scary because it comes with no applause. No trophies, no proof. In the beginning, you can't point to results yet. You can only point to intention. And that messes with people. We want to feel certain before we take a risk. But you don't need certainty to start. You need courage. And courage doesn't mean you're not afraid. Courage means you're afraid, and you take the next step anyway. Now let's talk about one of the biggest dream killers at the starting line, perfectionism. You've heard it in your own thoughts, right? I just need a better plan. I'll launch when the website is perfect. Let me learn a little more first. I need the right equipment. What if I mess up? Perfectionism is sneaky because it sounds responsible. It sounds like you're being smart. But most of the time, perfectionism is just fear wearing a suit and trying to look professional. Because here's reality. Your first version won't be perfect. Your first product might be average. Your first pitch might get ignored. Your first video might feel stiff. Your first attempt might make you cringe later on. That's not a sign to stop. That's the price of entry. Progress beats perfection every time. Businesses are built by testing, learning, adjusting, and getting a little better each week. Not by waiting until everything is flawless. If you wait until you feel ready, you're going to wait forever because the ready feeling usually shows up after you've done the work for a while. And let me say this as clearly as possible. Looking inexperienced is not a problem. It's a season. The people who become exceptional are the ones who are willing to be a beginner long enough to grow into someone undeniable. So instead of asking, how do I make this perfect? Try asking, how do I make this real? What's the smallest, simplest version you can put into the world this week? What can you publish, sell, pitch, or build in the next 7 days? Small steps create movement, and movement creates momentum. And momentum is powerful. Momentum doesn't just change your results. It changes your mindset. Once you're moving, you start thinking differently. Once you're moving, you start trusting yourself. Once you're moving, you start spotting opportunities you couldn't see when you were standing still. Now, we need to talk about failure because failure is one of the main reasons people stop at the beginning. They treat one setback like a verdict. Like the universe is saying, nope, not for you. Let's rewrite that story. Failure isn't the opposite of success. Failure is included in success. It's part of the deal. When something doesn't work, it teaches you. It teaches you what customers actually care about. It shows you which marketing message is landing and which one isn't. It exposes weak systems. It forces you to improve your skills. It reveals what you assumed and what reality looks like. Most people see failure like a stop sign. Successful people treat it like data. Like feedback, like a coach telling you, not that way, adjust and try again. So if your first attempt fails, it doesn't mean your dream is dead. It means your education just started. It means now you're in the arena. Now you're doing what most people only talk about doing. And if you look at the people you respect most, it's not that they never fell. It's that they didn't set up a camp where they fell. They got up, they changed the plan, they kept the mission. Which brings us to consistency, the most underrated superpower in business. Motivation is great. Motivation is exciting. Motivation gets you hyped. But motivation isn't reliable. Some days you'll wake up and you'll feel unstoppable. You'll think, this is it, I'm going to change my life. And other days you'll wake up and you'll think, what am I doing? Is any of this working? Consistency is what bridges those 2 days. Consistency is you showing up when the feelings don't cooperate. It's making the call even when you don't feel confident. It's posting the content even when engagement is low. It's working on the product even when you're not sure anyone will buy. It's practicing the skill when nobody's clapping. Because here's something you need to remember. Invisible progress is still progress. Roots grow underground before anything shows above the surface. And business is like that. A lot of the real work happens when it looks like nothing is happening. Almost nobody gets overnight success. Most people get quiet success. The kind that's built through routines, repetition, and patience. And often, the winners aren't the most talented. They're just the ones who stayed in the game longer than everyone else. Now I want to land this episode on something personal. Your dream deserves a real chance. Think about how many ideas never leave someone's head. How many businesses never get launched because someone was waiting for permission? How many books never get written because someone was afraid of being judged? How many brands never get created because someone thought they had to have everything figured out first? Your dream can't win if it never gets on the field. It can't grow if you don't give it room to be messy at the beginning. So don't let fear make decisions for your future. You don't need every answer today. You don't need the perfect plan today. You don't need to know exactly how it all ends. You only need the next step. Start the business. Launch the idea. Send the email. Make the offer. Build the page. Ask the question. Ship the first version. Begin before you feel fully ready, because confidence doesn't usually come before action. Confidence is built after action. Confidence is what shows up when you've kept promises to yourself, when you've taken enough steps to prove, I can do hard things. So if you're standing at the starting line right now, let this be your reminder. Every successful business started as an untested idea. Every entrepreneur started as a beginner. Every expert once had no audience, no proof, and no certainty. Don't quit before your story even starts. Take the first step, then take the next one. And when it gets uncomfortable, don't interpret that as a warning sign. Interpret it as growth happening in real time. One day, the struggle you're in right now might become the very story that gives someone else the courage to start. Thanks for listening to Business to Motivation. If this episode gave you a push, share it with someone who's been stuck at the starting line. And remember, the starting line isn't the end. It's the place where greatness finally gets a chance to begin.